In today's episode, let's review a few sandalwood incense sticks. Namaste everyone and welcome to Om Incense Show with DJ, a show that helps you increase your incense quotient. So if you are an incense enthusiast, consider subscribing. So today I'll be doing 4 sandalwood reviews. I actually have 7, but I realized that 7 is going to be too long, so I'll be dividing this into 2 parts. So today I have sticks with me. So we have 4 sticks here, which is sandalwood, the marble range from Aurobindo Ashram, the Auroshikha one. This is what we have. We have Satya Sandalwood Incense. We have Parimal Sacred Scents, Auroshikha Chandan. And we have Auroshikha again, Sandalwood, the long one that I had. So we have 2 from Aurobindo Ashram, one from Parimal and the other one from Satya Sai. I have other 3 incense cones which I'll be doing not next week because next week I have something more important to cover. I have a request long due from Bal Gangadhar ji, and he'd wanted me to tell you about occasion wise incense use. So I'll try to do justice to that topic. I'm trying to do it next week. So next week we'll not be having the comparison session. So next to next week I'll be comparing the other 3 sandalwood incenses that I have, and these will be incense cones. One is from Mysore Sandal, the incense cones. The other one is Sakal Sandalum cones, and then we have Nirmalya Sandalwood Dhoop sticks. So these are the 3 incense cones and dhoop sticks that we'll be doing next to next week. Next week we will be doing Natya Kesari review on Tuesday, and on Friday we will be doing occasion wise incenses. So that's what we'll do. So today let's start this with Auroshikha, the marble range incense sticks. This is called Indra Sandal, and I will not be doing the individual packaging of each of these. I will only be discussing the fragrance like we did in the oud ones. We'll only be discussing the fragrance of each of these, and I'll let you know which is my favorite. If you want to check out the individual episodes of these, I haven't yet covered this in the individual episode, the marble range, the Auroshikha marble range one, but the other 3 I have covered in individual episodes, so you might just want to check those out if you want to check out the individual episodes. For now we'll only be doing a comparison of these 4. So this is a very tiny stick. If you can see that, it's just this big, and there's hardly anything on the cover as such, because this is a part of their mini palette series in which I have 18 incenses, and Indra Sandal happens to be one of them. So the cold incense has a very nice, I like all of those Auroshikha incenses. They have a very nice, very soothing sandalwood fragrance. So this also is like that. It's like, in sandalwood you have 2 kinds of fragrances. One is the fragrance of freshly made paste of it, and the other one is the sandalwood, as in if you just smell the wood, just like it. I mean, if you just pick up one piece of wood, sandalwood, and you smell it, that's the kind of fragrance that this has. This doesn't have any hint of moisture in it as in the cold incense. So let's light up this incense and check out the fragrance of it. Let's see what the fragrance of the smoke is like. I just love Auroshikha incenses, the sandalwood ones. These are my favorite is sandalwood incenses, and like I told you, like in the cold incense, this gives out that fragrance of sandalwood, as in if you just pick up a piece of wood and you smell it, this is the kind of fragrance that you get. It has a very woody, very earthy aroma, and This is exactly like the sandalwood would be. So if you've ever smelled sandalwood, like if you have those which we keep in the puja, for our puja purposes, which we roll into paste on the round stone. So if you just pick up that wood and you smell that wood, this is the kind of fragrance that you have. Very, very nice. I really like this fragrance. It's very earthy, very woody. It feels very relaxing, very calming, and if you talk of intensity, it's not very strong, it's not very it's not even mid mild, it is mild, and it is very mild. So if you like the kind of fragrance that doesn't make its presence felt just as you light it up, it takes a little while to let you know that it's lit up somewhere, and this is the kind of fragrance that grows on you. It's very mild and doesn't have any sweet hints to it like many other Aurobindo Ashram incenses. This is the smell of pure sandalwood. So if you like that kind of woody fragrance, which it gives you the feel of dry sandalwood, you would like this. I really like these kind of fragrances, and sandalwood incenses from Aurobindo Ashram are one of my favorites. I like the Aurobindo Ashram Cottage Industries cones. I like the Auroshikha. I'm liking this one, the marble one, and I also like the other one that I just showed you, the big one. So they have that kind of very woody fragrance. So if you like the sandalwood fragrance, as in the woody one, the dry one, you would like this. That's the kind of fragrance this has. Let's check out Sandalwood Incense from Satya Sai. This fragrance of sandalwood has a little moisture to it. It has a very, very slight undertone of sweetness to it. But this sweetness is not the types that you get in the Aurobindo Ashram incenses. This is the kind of sweetness which you expect from a sandalwood incense, as in, if you have, suppose you're smelling sandalwood with something sweet together, if that is the kind of fragrance that you get from this cold incense. This is Satya Sai. And it has a very slight undertone of that soapy sandalwood fragrance that you have. So that is what I can get from here as well, from the cold incense. So now let's light up this incense as well and check out the smoke of this one. Let's see how it goes once it's brought to life. So this incense, the smoke of it is exactly like the cold incense. There's not much of a difference. It still is that moist kind of sandalwood. Like suppose a sandalwood has got wet, and if you smell it, this is the kind of fragrance you might get from it. And that sweetness that I said, that slight sweetness that it has, is exactly like what you would expect if you have to smell sandalwood along with something sweet, like say probably sugar or one of those jaggery or anything sweet. If you have to smell sandalwood along with something sweet, this is the kind of fragrance that you might get. So this is that kind of sweetness, and that soapy feel that the cold incense had is there, but it's very, very it is a slight undertone. It's almost at the base somewhere, and the top note and the middle note is that of wet sandalwood. If we talk of intensity, this is not very strong, but this is not very mild either. This is like mid mild, so it makes its presence felt the moment it is lit up, and it comes to life and it starts to spread its fragrance. So that's the kind of fragrance this has. So if you like mid-mild kind of fragrance, not very mild, not very strong in your face kind of fragrance, and a sandalwood with a little moisture to it, just a little bit of it, and a little slight sweetness to it, and specifically if you like that and if you like that soapy kind of sandalwood fragrance, you might like this. So that is Satya Sai Sandalwood Incense. Next is Parimal Mandir's Sacred Scents series. So this is pure sandal incense, and For each of these incenses, you'll find the link in the description box, and you'll also find, you know, a card somewhere that says about the individual episodes. So if you want to check out the individual episodes, you might just want to check out the cards, and I'll also be giving it in the description. And if you want to buy any of these, you might want to check out the description box. So this is the kind of fragrance that I was talking about. Is that kind of that freshly rolled sandalwood. That's the kind of fragrance this is. The fresh sandalwood paste. In the cold incense, the fragrance is quite mild. So let's light up the incense and check out the fragrance of it, of the smoke of it. So let's do that. So this is the kind of fragrance which is like I told you, like in the cold incense also, this is the fragrance of fresh sandalwood paste, and this is towards the stronger side. This is not very mild, and however, it is not in your face strength that it has. It has a nice strength, you know, it has a body to it. So it's like that. It's like not in your face, but it has a strong presence. And the moment you light it up, it comes to life. The fragrance comes to life, and you can feel the fragrance. It has a slight sweetness to it, and very, very real sandalwood paste. That's the kind of fragrance this has. This fragrance lingers for long. If you stay in an apartment or in a house which is like not very well ventilated, this might stay there for around 24 hours or so. And like in my father's house, we have this puja room, and in that puja room we can smell, you know, if I light this up now, I can smell this, you know, 24 hours later as well. So that's the kind of fragrance this has. Also, the siyas of it is quite good, so it spreads to a large area. So if we light it up in the puja room, and you know, we can smell it in the garden outside. So it's that kind of fragrance this is. But like, because it's sandalwood is, no matter how you know, strong the fragrance of it is going to be not the kind of fragrance that is in your face. It has a nice presence, and the moment you light this up, it comes to life immediately, and you can feel that fragrance. So if you like that kind of sandalwood fragrance which stays for long, which has a you know, which spreads to a large area, which has a large siyas, and you know, which makes its presence felt immediately, that's the kind of fragrance this has. So probably if you have you know, some kind of special puja in your house, or if you have a special guest coming over, you would want to light this up and, you know, create a good environment in your house. For that matter, you can do that with any of the incense, but what I'm saying is this makes its presence felt very soon. So it's not that mild kind of fragrance, and this is that strong kind of fragrance. So if you like that kind of sandalwood fragrance, you'll like this. So that is Parimal Mandir Sacred Scent Series Pure Chandan, Shuddh Chandan, Pure Sandal Incense. And as usual, I saved the best for last. That's Auroshikha Chandan Agarbatti, Sandalwood. These are those long ones. This is that sandalwood fragrance, the woody fragrance, as in if you just pick up the wood and you smell it, this is what it smells like. But it has a very, very, very slight sweetness to it. It's like, you know, probably a few grains of sugar hidden somewhere in that sandalwood, and if you smell that, that is the kind of fragrance this has. Like I told you, Auroshikha incenses are my favorite. I light up the incense, the sandalwood incense cones during my havan, and I even put a few of it, you know, in the havan agni, and not as ahuti, but generally for fragrance. That's the kind of fragrance this is. I really like this, that wooden kind of fragrance, and it's very nice. So like the other Auroshikha incense, this also is mild and it has to grow on you. It doesn't come to life. The presence, it doesn't make its presence felt immediately. The fragrance takes a little while to come to life. It takes time to grow on you, but it is that proper sandalwood fragrance. So if you like that dry wood fragrance, like I said, you might like this. And if you like a sandalwood incense which is nice and mild, which, you know, it's like quietly lit up somewhere, and you know, it doesn't bother you in any way, it just is doing its own job. It's just lit up somewhere, and it's just lying there doing its own thing, spreading its own mild fragrance. If you like that kind of sandalwood with a proper sandalwoody fragrance, as in which is like woody and earthy, you would like this. And because it's a long one, so you know, you might just want to light it up for any long puja. So say Satyanarayan puja or Durga puja, you know, any other special occasion puja if you have, like for marriages, for you know, other havan things that you have at home. Any of those things which takes time, because see, if you see, this is a long one. This is 16 inches long, so it's going to be up for around, say, around 2 hours or so. So if you have a puja which will go on for that long, or probably if you have a gathering in your house, you know, probably you have some senior citizens coming over, or you know, that kind of fragrance, this is, which is like nice and relaxing and mild. And people who would like mild fragrances would like this. And people who are very fond of traditional fragrance would like this, because this is a very typical traditional fragrance. It doesn't have anything new age to it. It's like nice and traditional. If you like that kind of fragrance, which is mild, woody and earthy aroma of sandalwood, it's like a few grains of sugar lying hidden somewhere in that sandalwood, which you just pick up to smell. And that's the kind of fragrance this is. So this happens to be my favoritist. I really like Aurobindo Ashram Auroshikha incenses and Aurobindo Ashram cottage industry cones. I really like them. Feels very natural, very sattvic, very organic, very pure. And because these are like pure fragrances and they are like very natural, chances of them having, you know, spreading to a large area is very less, first. And they also they don't linger for as long as other incenses do, because that's what natural incenses are like, you know, in fact. So this is my favoritist. So now let's give star ratings to the incenses that we just did. So this is my favoritist, and I give this a 5-star. My first 5-star is for this, and that's the kind of sandalwood fragrance we have from Auroshikha. So that this is that, the Auroshikha Sandalwood Incense. That's there. The sandalwood incense, the Auroshikha Sandalwood from their marble range, also has 5 stars because it's almost the same fragrance, and I really like this kind of sandalwoody fragrance. So I give this also 5 stars. These two are my favoritist. Then comes the Sacred Scent series, which smells like freshly made sandalwood paste, and I give this a 3-star. And this, with its soapy undertone, since I do not like that soapy kind of sandalwood fragrance, it has a slight soapy undertone to it, so because of which I am giving this 2. But probably if you like that kind of soapy sandalwood fragrance, you might want to give it a 4 or 3 or whatever, you know. And this, if you like sandalwood paste kind of fragrance which has moisture to it, if you like that, probably you would want to give it a 5. For me, this is a fragrance 3, because I'm more fond of the woody fragrance, the woody earthy fragrance of Auroshikha incenses. So before we wrap up, I just want to remind you again that, you know, next week we'll be reviewing these 3: Cycle Sandalum, Mysore Sandal Dhoop, and Nirmalya Sandalwood. And next week we'll be doing, on Tuesday we're doing Natya Kesari, and on Friday we're doing occasion wise incenses. So just stay tuned for those. Before we wrap up, I just want to let you know that, you know, no matter what I say about any of these incenses, The sense of smell is a very personal thing, and what appeals a lot to me might not be even bearable to you, and what is your favorite might just be off my radar. So that's the kind of thing we have with fragrances, because you know, we have memories associated to them, we have you know, real experiences and feelings attached to them. So whatever star ratings that I give here are my own personal rating system. It's not to say that any incense is good or bad, because that is something that cannot be said for that matter. So I just say whatever I like, and I try to give you the profile fragrance of it. So if you like that kind of fragrance, you might just want to try it. So that's what I want to say here. So that's all for the episode today. Till we meet again next, take very good care of yourself. Namaste.